guys and girls, Jay Parmar here for G66. Today I'm going to be sharing some tips, tricks and techniques to get your guitars sounding like they're in a real recording studio. I'm going to be showing you on my FM9 Turbo, but you can also do this on the FM3 and the Axe FX3 as well. So let's head over to FM9 Edit on my Mac and I will share all of the secrets with you. Let's go. Alrighty, over here in FM9 you can see that my signal chain is actually quite simple. Basically I have a drive pedal, an amp, a cab, a compressor. Now the compressor is doing something really special which I'll show you in a second. A chorus which is switched off right now, delay, reverb, an enhancer which is switched off right now, and then out. Really simple chain. Now the amp that I picked was the Cameron CCV2B. Reason I did this was because I wanted a juiced up Marshall type sound, something which had been modded, kind of Jose modded type of thing, so that I had enough gain for like a high-ish gain sound, but which was also very dynamic. So this one sounds absolutely fantastic. Check this out. Nice thing about this amp is when I roll down my guitar volume, it actually reacts to it. If I split coil my pickups as well, I can get clean sounds out of this as well. That's exactly what I was looking for from the amplifier. It needed to be dynamic so I can get lots of different variations of gain just with my guitar volume, and this really fit the bill. It sounds great, just has a good vibe about it, so love this amp. The magic starts to happen when we get to the cab block here. Now I'm using the Dyna cabs and I basically have the 412 1960 TV cabs, Marshall cabs, and I have a dynamic mic on one, a ribbon mic on the other. I basically just played around with the placements until it sounded good. Now the studio magic happens when we get to the preamp section. Now you'll notice here that I've got the preamp type as the transformer, I've got it in high quality mode, and I've got the drive dialed up and a little bit of saturation as well. Now when you start thinking about this as a signal chain in a recording studio, basically my guitar is going into my amp is going into a cab, the cab has microphones in it, microphones are attached to mic preamps, and that's essentially what the preamp is doing here. Different preamps have different components, they have different resistors, capacitors and transformers, and they all sound a little bit different. Hence we have this whole section within the FM9, FM3 and the Axe FX where we can change the preamp, and it does make a difference to the tone. Think about this as very subtly coloring the tone of everything, and it has multitude of effects on the sound. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to turn off the delay and the reverb so you can hear exactly what's going on, and then I'm just going to play through my guitar. So this is the sound of the transformer preamp with just low gain at the moment. Now if I turn the drive all the way up, you'll see that it actually saturates the sound a little bit more. So guitar volume's still the same. So a little bit more gain going on, only a tiny bit more. But essentially this is working like the preamp in a guitar amp as well. When you turn up the gain, you get more overdrive. And that's essentially what preamps do, microphone preamps do as well. The saturation works in a similar way, but it starts to compress the signal. So at the moment I have it very low, just a tiny bit there. If I turn it all the way up and really juice it, then it's going to compress the signal quite a lot. And that's why I keep it low, because it kind of really squishes the signal. So I'm just going to put it back at about 1.85, where it was at 1.82. That's close enough. If I change the actual preamp, then the sound changes very subtly. So I'll go to the vintage and let's see how that sounds. And the tube. Then back to the transformer. there's a small effect in there, and essentially some of the frequencies are being pushed and some of them are actually being drawn back depending on which preamp I'm using. So you can play around with this until you find the sound that you really like. All right, I'm going to keep the delay and reverb off for the time being because the next section is really, really cool. We're going to go to the room stroke air function on the cab block. Now, when you're in a recording studio, you have the option of close miking the cabs. Everybody does that because it sounds great with like an SM57 and a Royal 121 or whatever you're going to use on it. But you can also set up a microphone away from the cab to capture the sound in the actual room, like you're hearing it with your ears or something. This is what this emulates, and it has a big effect because what the room sound does, it adds a mid-range into the overall guitar sound. So you'll often find that engineers will add a little bit of room sound into the guitar sound to thicken it up. So at the moment I only have the room level at 15%, and I've got a room size of about 10 square meters, and it's just a room rather than a hall, and I've actually set the damping to 4.6 to take a little bit of the high end off. So at the moment we just have this sound. If I actually turn the room level all the way up, you'll hear just the room sound. Can you hear that? Very mid-rangey, right? Now, if I turn this all the way down to 0, then we're not going to have any room sound, just a direct sound mic right on the speaker, just like I've placed it here on the cab. So this is going to be a very, very immediate direct sound. As soon as you add a little bit of air to that, and I'll add 25% so you can really hear it, you'll hear some mid-range coming into it, and it thickens up the sound. 0 again. 25%. Now, the sweet spot for me is 15%. That's where I like it, and that's where I leave it. Just a little bit of something in there. That's studio magic. That's what's coming through. Alrighty. So that's the cab block. Now, next to that, we have the compressor. Now, why do I have a compressor after the cab and before the delay, reverb, etc., etc.? There's a really good reason for that. And when you're in a recording studio, engineers will often put a guitar signal, even an overdriven signal, through a compressor just to take the peaks off, just the very, very high end. Thing is, different compressors have a different sound, just like different preamps, because old compressors like DBX 160s and the Teletronics LA2A and the URI 1176, they have components in them. They have transformers, resistors, capacitors, tubes sometimes as well. Optical compressors which have LEDs which work in them, etc., etc. So it all colors the sound. And you can play around with the different types of compressors that we have in here in order to, again, color the sound. My favorite one was the VCA bus compressor, which is basically like a DBX 160, but you can select the ones that sound good to you. This one I liked because it brought out some of the shine and the high end in my guitar. And it's not compressing the signal very much. Even with my guitar volume all the way up, you'll see down here that it's only about 3 dBs worth of reduction. So just a tiny bit. It's not really compressing the signal, but what it's doing is it's coloring the tone. So if I turn this off now, and on, I'm immediately hearing those low mids coming in there, and some of the low end is blooming slightly different, and it's just thickening up the sound again. Like I said, you can play around with these and check out what the different compressors do. So if I go to the Very MU, this is going to sound different now. It doesn't sound as hi-fi, it sounds a little bit more muted in the high end. And if I go to the optical compressor, Sounds a little bit thinner, especially in the low end. And one more, let's try the modern VCA compressor. Very, very punchy, right? I like the VCA bus compressor. Just works for my sound. It's a little bit vintagey. It's got the punch to it. It's got the bite to it. I love it. Alright, after that I've got the delay and the reverb. This is just so that I can have some fun with delay and reverb. And I have set up the scenes so that I have a rhythm with a stereo chorus on it as well. The other thing that I have is the enhancer as well. This is to create a stereo spread if I just want to track a single rhythm guitar. So when I turn this on, basically I'm going to get this stereo width to my guitar. So you could get away with just recording a single rhythm part. I like to double track, so I would use this sparingly, but it is there if you want to use it. Again, with the chorus, what I did was I actually created a rhythm sound with the chorus and the enhancer. This sounds just epic. Lovely to play around with. Now, this preset wouldn't be complete if I didn't have a lead sound. Had to have a lead sound, and this is where my drive pedal comes in. Obviously, amp is juiced up, but it's not juiced up to the point where, you know, I can get all of my pinchies and stuff like that. So I set up this fourth scene with drive pedal, which is just a TS-808 modded version, and this just pushes the amp a little bit more over the edge. Nice juiced up Marshall. I love it. It's wonderful to play through. When I turn this off, I have a little bit less gain. I have to dig in a little bit more. So that's why I added the drive pedal. So there you go, simple signal change, but it works so well, and it has all those recording studio tricks in there. Yeah. This preset is really amazing to play. It feels great under my fingers and it sounds amazing through my speakers as well. If you would like to have a play around with it, there is a link in the description box below where you can go and grab it for absolutely free as well. So enjoy it and have a play around. And for all of your fractal gear needs, head over to g66.eu. Alright guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that one. Here are some more tones from that amazing preset. Enjoy, and I'll see you really soon with another one. Bye for now.